something that has evaded Aaron Rodgers for the last 12 years. So now the pieces being put together, this should be indication that relationships are better. The fact that he wants to commit to being in Green Bay a longer time. So ultimately, now the work begins for Brian Gutekunst. The work begins for this coaching staff, and the work begins also in regards to Jordan Love and what you do with him moving towards the future. But now you have the top quarterback in the NFL. Now you can figure out what you do with Davante Adams. It'll be easier to keep him in that building now because these things did correlate, and you start figuring out how to manage not only the salary cap, but this roster in order to put the Green Bay Packers in a position to win a Super Bowl. That is what this is about. And obviously everybody says that, we need to keep Aaron Rodgers should be the reason why the Green Bay Packers win a Super Bowl, determining how long this structure is. They have to get one in that window minimum.
You've been following this story as much as anybody else, really, really closely. So talk about getting to the business of the business. I know, right? I know. How would you put those pieces together to keep this team a constant threat to win the Super Bowl?
First and foremost, Davante, right? We all know that we working under that umbrella, but also Jair Alexander on the other side of the football defensively. And when you think about the Green Bay Packers, the thing that they struggled with is special teams. So they have to find emphasis on that. But beyond that, Aaron Rodgers is the catalyst to what they want to do offensively. And I'm sure that's going to entail him feeling like he has the pieces around him. Aaron Jones signed a long-term extension to running back. Davante Adams is up, obviously, with the tag, but you expect him now to do a long-term deal. And then figure it out. Lazard, you got Valdez-Scantling, you got Robert Tonyan. How do you continue to maximize this offense around him, which I think they already have some really good pieces, but how do you keep those guys in the door? Or if they leave or any of those particular guys leave outside of Davante, do you get a guy in that can be impact and an impactful player in this offense on a team that, like I said, Jay, plan is to win a Super Bowl, not just make it to the playoffs.
All right, I want to ask you one more question. I want you to get inside Aaron Rodgers' head. Why do you think this ended the way it did with him staying in Green Bay?
You know, Jay, we've been trying to do that for 2 damn years. I don't know what Aaron Rodgers thought. I mean, money is a motivator, and I'm sure it's going to be a big-time contract. I'm sure he looked at the landscape and said to himself, I got Davante Adams. Hopefully that relationship had some bearing on what he decided to do. And ultimately, it was because the Green Bay Packers decided that whatever Aaron Rodgers wants, we are going to give him. And it actually started last year, Jay. It started with the restructuring of a contract. It started with acquiring Randall Cobb. It started with Matt LaFleur making sure that this offense was tailor-made, and some of the decisions that was made previously as far as play calling came to Aaron Rodgers. And then 2 offseason. Remember, he spent an entire offseason away from Green Bay, and it was all still out of that organization. We want Aaron Rodgers. So they've already hung themselves out there to make sure that everybody knows that Aaron Rodgers is the key, and Aaron Rodgers is the guy that we're going to focus on before we do any other order of business. And the fact that they did that, I'm assuming that's what changed his mind and changed the narrative. And now it's about going out and getting W's and getting the ultimate prize.
What kind of Aaron Rodgers do you expect to see now that this is all done and he's ready to roll?
Yeah, look, this is pressure now. I expect Aaron Rodgers to be good. Like, we haven't watched. Even when they said Aaron Rodgers was falling off, I was literally on TV saying, stop the presses.
For real.
Still playing well. But ultimately, what this means is, especially for him, is that now my legacy has to be cemented with another Super Bowl championship in order to be considered the greatest or considered in that particular conversation. Yeah, he has one. And everybody talks about one. Drew Brees has one. We never talk about Drew Brees being the greatest quarterback ever, even though he's one of the top tier upper echelon guys statistically and what he was able to do for a franchise and organization. Whatever the term of this contract is, however long and however many years this contract is, this will be the most important part of Aaron Rodgers' legacy. And that has to be a legacy of winning a championship. We know he can be the MVP. We know he can throw for 1,000 yards. We know he can play under adversity and adverse situations. And there was never anybody on television talking about Aaron Rodgers' ability to play the quarterback spot. These next few years, or however many years this contract is, that he's the starter for the Green Bay Packers, is solely about Aaron Rodgers' legacy when it comes to stacking up against who we consider the guys to be the greatest quarterbacks to ever play this game. Statistically, yes. Athletically, yes. Arm strength, yes. Ball placement, yes. He's already in that conversation. This is about championships for Aaron Rodgers. And if he gets it done, then you have legitimate conversations about who was the best ever. Even though we know what Tom Brady has done, there is a conversation about ability and skill set that Aaron Rodgers has that will put him in that conversation.
Much more on Aaron Rodgers, much more from Marcus Spears throughout this 2-hour Sports Center. Marcus, thank you. Let's go back over to Matt.
Yeah, we had talked about at the beginning of the show. Today was really the big deadline day, under 4 hours until the franchise tag deadline. 2 more players added to the list this morning. Started with the Dolphins. They tagged tight end Mike Gesicki. Gesicki coming off a career high 780 yards on 73 catches in 2021. Since entering the league, only 6 tight ends have more catches than him at 199 yards. He also ranks 8th among NFL tight ends with 2,255 receiving yards.
Also, Matt, our Chart Archer reporting the Dallas Cowboys are placing the franchise tag on tight end Dalton Schultz. Schultz had career highs in receptions, yards, and touchdowns last season. Cowboys and Schultz have until July 15th to work out a long-term deal, or else he would have to play the season on the franchise tag.
All right, let's bring back our NFL insider, Dan Graziano. Busy day for everybody now that we have the Aaron Rodgers news. So Davante Adams, he now remains the biggest franchise tag domino yet to fall. Rodgers is in. Packers likely move here with Davante.
Well, they'll franchise him unless they can get a long-term deal done in the next 3 hours and 48 minutes, which is what they have until the deadline. But even if they franchise him, that doesn't mean they won't eventually get a long-term deal done. They have to be under the cap, like I mentioned earlier, by 4 o'clock Eastern time next Wednesday, the 16th. Franchising Adams would be to keep him off the free agent market and allow them to continue negotiating. But as soon as they franchise him, that $20 million salary will hit their salary cap, and they'll have to work to get under. One of the ways they can do that would be a long-term extension that would lower his cap number in the first year, so certainly they'll be after that. But there's no way Rodgers is going back there unless he knows what the plan is for Davante Adams, and that plan is Davante Adams is on the team.
You see a list there: Davante Adams, Mike Williams, Chris Godwin, Harold Landry, plenty of big-name players. 27 teams still have the option of using the franchise tag designation, but it's safe to assume not all of them will be used. So, Dan, who are some of the notable players likely to hit the market when the new league year begins next week, March 16th?
Well, I mean, I look at a couple of teams that have multiple candidates, right? And so if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers use the franchise tag on Chris Godwin, that means they're not using it on Carlton Davis, their star cornerback. The Chiefs using it on Orlando Brown means they're not going to be using it on Tyrann Mathieu, their star safety, who could be looking elsewhere. Same thing with the Cowboys franchising Dalton Schultz. That means Randy Gregory's a free agent. So you see this list here. It doesn't sound like the Patriots are going to tag J.C. Jackson. Chandler Jones could hit the market as a premium edge rusher, future Hall of Fame edge rusher, hitting the market without a franchise tag from Arizona. So some of these guys are still going to be able to make some money on the free agent market without the restriction of the franchise tag.
And we talked about the deadline today, 4 p.m. Eastern. This really the day where an offseason for an NFL team, the pieces start to fall in place, at least financially, and they can go about the rest of it when the new league year begins March 16th. Dan Graziano, busy afternoon. Thank you, sir. Over to Jay.
Yeah, so Marcus Spears, Dan just gave us a list of guys expected to hit the market next week. You could call NFL free agency a very expensive game of musical chairs. So where are the best landing spots for some of those players before the music stops and all the money dries up?
Yeah, Jay, let's get right to it, man, because when you have all of these guys available, you got to figure out what to do and where these guys are going. And I think we're going to start with J.C. Jackson, because when I look at J.C. Jackson,